We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies.
Welcome back to Deal Junkies. Gabe is not with us today again, so you're hearing my voice start us off. I am Dane McKinney. I'm here with Trevor, Mike, and a very good friend of mine, Juwan Johnson. He's a friend of mine from rugby back in college, among other things. We played rugby together, though, at Oregon State. We've been very good friends since then. Spent not enough time together, frankly. I wish it was more. But Juwan is one of the busiest human beings that I've met, which is why we haven't spent as much time together as we should have. Juwan you have a degree in nuclear engineering, physics, business? What are your degrees in?
Nuclear engineering, physics, and business.
Good. Can we talk about the double slit experiment? Can we get because Mike thinks he knows it, but he doesn't.
Juwan learned that in 4th grade.
I don't care when you learned it. Let's just unpack it. Let's get metaphysical.
Mike talks about this once every 50 episodes, so it's good. It's actually
I'm all fired up.
This is the right timing. So Juwan is a jack of all trades and a master of a few, is what I would say. But he also worked with us when we were running Vesta full time. Still works with Sabrina, I believe, and maybe Hunter. I don't know, but to find deals, and he was one of our first clients.
Yeah. Why I wanted to have you on. This is going to be like the most valuable episode.
To talk about the double slit experiment.
That as well. But
we'll get there.
But the most valuable episode for people trying to get into deals, because you're still at the beginning part of your journey. Mm-hmm. And I just remember from years back, you always had you had this roadblock where you're like, I want to do it. But then it was like probably a year and a half, 2 years until you actually took the action, did it, which is the same that everyone listening to this that's not doing deals right now went through.
Yeah.
So I think they'll get to take a lot from your experience and kind of how you got started and what you're doing now.
For the record, too, to all the listeners, Juwan is way busier than you. And so if Juwan, the reason it took Juwan so long was because he was doing other things. He wasn't just sitting at home contemplating, but still did it in, a year and a half or so. And the first one was, what was the first deal?
It's a duplex in Corvallis.
Okay. That's the one we walked together, right? Yeah. Took a sick video. That's like one of our most popular videos, actually. Oh, people loved it. Yeah. Because it was like very relatable. Mm-hmm. And so you were just walking through first deal that you bought. But break it down.
No.
Don't break it down.
Hold on.
Never mind.
Speak first to why you wanted to get into real estate, what you were thinking at that time point, and what changed so you actually took action on it. Because that's the point everyone's at.
I forgot that he hasn't been on yet.
Yeah.
Trevor's actually thinking about our audience right now. I'm just so proud.
This is going to be the most valuable to the beginner people.
I'm going to cry. I'll just sit back and watch.
For the real estate aspect, my dad actually had real estate his whole life. So he was an agent. He was a broker. And I always knew my dad had real estate, but it took till my mom's 50th birthday, and my oldest brother got a little drunk, and he was like, everybody, Jerome is the wealthiest man here. He has so much real estate nobody knows about, and he's been living frugally. So I didn't know my dad had money like he did until very recently when he retired. So I get my work ethic from my dad because he worked 3 jobs. He owned 2 businesses, and he just kept on doing it on a daily basis. And yes, he was always busy. Exhibit A, why I'm always busy. And so that's why I always thought I wanted to do real estate. I saw everybody around me doing it, but I was like, And everybody in my age group didn't know. And you were the first, actually, Trevor. So one thing about Trevor is Trevor reached out to me in 2019, 2020, maybe even 2021. And every single year he reached out to me. And it was I saw it on Instagram, actually. I went back. And it was not in a pushy way. You were like, you should do real estate. You should do real estate. And I was like, I'm not doing it right now. I have these 2 businesses, and I'm doing my grad school right now. And you're like, no, I know you have money. You can do it. And then you can do it. And I was like, probably could have.
Sounds so accurate.
But it was awesome. That's kind of I remember when before Dane actually met you, I remember Dane was like, do you know this dude Trevor? You follow him on Instagram. And I was like, yeah, he's been pinging me about real estate. And he was like, can you connect me? And I gave him your number. And then I was like, just DM him. And then you guys got connected. And
Oh, is this a love triangle?
I forgot about that, actually. Every time I see Juwan, he has to remind me that he's the one who introduced me to
I
my
thought
mom.
it was Tejas.
No, Tejas,
Oh,
because
you got them confused. Which
no,
is weird
because
on your part.
Tejas and I, well, Tejas and Juwan both hold we all played rugby together, but no, it was because Tejas had like randomly known you too,
Yeah, it was
and then
basically.
I was hanging out with Tejas like right after I met you, and you were like, "Does anybody want to go paddleboarding on Instagram?" And I was like, "Sure, like I'll go." And I knew Tejas was in town, but Tejas said he was doing something else, and then I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm going paddleboarding," and I was like, with Trevor? And he was like, yeah, that's why I could. And so then Tejas and I, who had been hanging out, and he left to go paddleboard with you. And I was like, well, I'll go paddleboarding then.
well, crazy enough, I actually played basketball with you at Dixon with Tejas and Harper.
Oh, yeah.
At Oregon State, which everything connected after the fact because
That's so
me and
funny.
Harper knew each other since freshman year.
That's so funny.
Yeah. It's a small world.
Yeah, but so your dad was investing in real estate since you were young. You just didn't really know it. So when did you actually, like, how old were you when you actually like found out he bought properties or like owned, quite a few properties?
So I didn't know how many properties.
Yeah.
I always knew he had properties. So growing up, my dad was like, go get the rent check. So I would go, and he had multiple multifamily properties, and I would go to the front door and pick up the rent and go to the back door, pick up the rent. And he had like 3 generations of the same family. They're still living in one of his units. Majority of his units are all paid off. And I just didn't know. Like, it took till my mom moved out of the house and my dad was living by himself and my mom was living in one street. My dad was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a house. And he bought a house 3 blocks away from my mom's house just so we can just commute back and forth so easily. And he did it so willy-nilly that it was just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
so I just didn't know the
Oh, it's like
capacity.
that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing up, like I've
Bring that closer to you a little bit too.
Growing up, I like dug some ditches for him. I did some like small cleaning projects for some of his units when we had to turn them, but it was nothing big because he was a basketball coach and basketball referee. So that's what he did all the time. And we would just pick up rent and he would just call his contractors and they would do all the work. And we lived in a duplex that we didn't own majority of our life, which is the most confusing thing. So I'm not even playing. It confuses all of us to this day.
Was it nice?
No. It was awful. I'm not gonna lie. And it was in the middle of the hood. It's like
It's conditioning you.
yeah.
He's frugal.
So
It's
funny.
keeping your baseline low.
He was just trying to spend all his money on real estate.
That's so funny.
Well, I have a lot of siblings, so like I'm one of 7, but like there's only 2 with the same mother and father, but like we all like kind of lived around each other. My dad had to basically support everybody. So the reason why he didn't buy more real estate later, because I asked him this when I started getting into the game, he was like, I couldn't afford to. Like all this stuff actually paid for your college. It paid for you to go and do these things, but nobody understands that. And he was like, I needed to keep it just minimal so I can have my savings, so we can have these projects, so we can go and explore. And we went on vacations and other things, but you don't realize it till a little bit later down the line.
Yeah.
Like how much stress was on his shoulders while you were growing up, and it was just normal. That's just the way it was. Was he good at bearing it? I mean,
Yeah.
could you tell that?
I've never, even in 2008 when everything was going on and people were stressed, I can tell everybody else was stressed around him, but he was just there. Like he just did his thing. Like that's why I can do things so consistently and it really doesn't affect me. I can work and it doesn't affect me. People find it very weird, very robotic, very unconnected, and I can just have a goal and just shoot for it no matter what the objective is. Just keep on working. I can outwork anybody, I believe. But it just takes the mentality and why you're doing it. And that's like the biggest thing is like, why do you do what you do? And you got to reflect on that.
So why'd you want to buy real estate?
The biggest thing was, so when my mom and dad split up, my mom, I will never forget this. We like cleaned the house and everything. And it was this like foreclosed house that she bought. And she was like, you're the man of the house now. I'm like, what do you mean? I was like 13 years old. She's like, you're the man of the house now. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. So we cleaned up the house, everything else. And we struggled. We struggled a lot. And basically, I'll never forget, we were going to church one day and like we were struggling. Water got turned off. Power got turned off. And she was like, and I remind her this all the time. She was like, she asked me to pray for $100. And it wasn't anything. Like she put all of her money into this house. And she was like, I want you to pray for $100. And I couldn't do anything. And I'll never forget that, ever in my life. And that's why I worked hard. And so, like, in that, like, we fixed up the house. She was able to stabilize everything else, and my mom's doing well now. And we got through all of it. My siblings supported and all of us supported, but me and my brother, like, to offset and so we can go buy things because she couldn't pay for things for us, we like had like a little business. Like, so in middle school we would go and sell Kool-Aid gummy worms, and like my brother would make $100 a day and I would make $80 a day, and it would like it took maybe $15 to make that much, and then we would just keep on rinse, repeat, and mom would get mad because we would have an assembly line every Sunday before school, and it was just in the kitchen, like we all had our tasks, and me and my brother would go ride our bikes to Food for Less to go get all the materials in the middle of the hood. You got to understand this. I'll never forget, me and my brother got chased. They tried to steal our bikes. We got shot at once, like all these different things, but we were just like, no. And we bought a basketball court for our backyard. We bought new bikes. We bought new things for the house. And my mom wanted us to stop doing it because she wanted us to focus on school. But, you know, that's what started the initial hustle. And then outside of that, I just wanted to support my family. Like I'm half African-American, half Mexican, and not everybody's the most wealthy in my family. And I grew up around a lot of people that didn't have wealth. And I have a lot of friends that didn't make it out of that place where I grew up. So it just made me strive for more. I wanted to live a better life for myself. I never wanted to struggle about finances, food, money. I never, for my future wife, my future kids, I never want them to see me stressed in that capacity. And I just think about my mom a lot of the time when I'm down bad. And she knows that. I remind her once in a while. But she was like, I don't even remember that. And I'm like, Mom, I've never forgotten that. So.
What did you put in those Kool-Aid gummies to make $100 a day?
So how we got it actually is the ice cream truck was selling them. And we're like looking, we're like, there's nothing special with regards to this. And we created a process. We basically would get sour gummy worms. We would put them in a vat of water, extract the sugar, and then let them dry for a second, and then put Kool-Aid in, shake the bags up, and then we would just put them in the fridge and then store them overnight and just
smart. You just reflavored them. Your own custom flavor.
Own custom flavor, and it was right to the customer.
Yeah.
So we would go to the playground and just sell them right then and there. I would be playing basketball.
Were they still cold? They're like frozen?
No.
I know, dude. These guys processed down.
Yeah, I had to process down. I remember I would be playing basketball at lunchtime, and I would like, people would just come up to me, just give me money, and just put it in my pocket while I'm playing basketball, and I'm like, just get one out of the bag. I'm watching you, but I'm still playing. And like, it would just empty the whole time. And so I would go home, none. My brother would go home, and he went to a really wealthy school. We didn't go to the same school. And every single time sold out. One time he went to school and a kid just handed him a $100 bill and was like, give me all the gummy worms. And I was like,
sweet.
Never had that happen to me. You had the hustle in you.
Did you grow up in Salem?
no, I'm from Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is there
you
a
just moved here to go to Oregon State, right?
Yeah, that was an accident, but yeah.
Why was that an accident?
Well, so I was committed to go to Dartmouth in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And I was playing rugby and I got like a severe concussion, and I got like 2 concussions that year. And they were like, basically, you can't play sports for like 6 months. And I was like, okay. And I told the coach that, and he wasn't happy. And he was like, wait a minute, like, you might not be eligible to play here anymore. And I was going to get a scholarship to go there. And they looked at my academics, and they were like, you're like, okay, I didn't have the best academics coming out of high school. And they were like, oh, we're just going to pass on this. And I had some few other opportunities that kind of went by the wayside. I wanted to play rugby at the collegiate level, at the highest level, and play for D1A, just like we played against some D1A teams. But yeah, and then Oregon State was like one of those schools that had nuclear engineering, because I knew I wanted to study nuclear engineering while I was in high school. And then I just said, Oregon State it is. And my first time in Oregon was for start in August, right before coming here in September. And I just sent it. I said, whatever the circumstances are, I'm going to make the best of it. We're going to make it work.
And now you still live here because Oregon's awesome.
Oregon is phenomenal.
And you still live in Corvallis. Or actually, are you in Albany or Corvallis?
I'm in Corvallis.
In the duplex or?
Yeah, in the duplex. I'll be moving soon, though. I'm looking to move to Eugene. So that's the next play, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But
yeah. So can we go to the first deal?
Yeah, but I still want to hit on the point of like, what were you feeling prior to that deal and thinking, and like what pivoted to actually take the action on it? Because was it fear? Was it unknown? Like, what was it?
So sadly, a lot of it was my dad. My dad kept on saying no, like these don't make sense, like your finances aren't there. And like one thing I had to overcome, actually, and Dane went through this with me, is like I owned 2 businesses right before I bought this deal. And I owned them for like 3-4 years. There's a crypto business and like a healthcare business, so like CBD and healthcare products. And the other one was like building crypto fabs, building cluster computers for people, building personal computers for people, a variety of different things. And at the time where you started pinging me, actually, I was in a bad spot mentally in life. Like, I lost a girl I was going to marry, and I lost 2 businesses all at the same time. I was like a positive $150,000, and I went negative like $50,000 to $60,000. And it wasn't negative because like, it was like people stopped paying me. People stopped paying me. My business partner bailed out on me for my CBD business. And then my lady left, and it was like she like just moved and left all of her stuff. And
It's a lot at once.
It was all at once, and it was like, well, what do you do? And it took like getting out of that hole and getting out of my head to realize, like, Dane saw me right after that, and like I remember one of my best friends, Nafis, he was like, this is the first time I've ever seen you like unsure about something, because I was always like, before I was just always sure about every single thing. I would read books, I already knew where I was gonna go, had a roadmap, and then there's this wrench. And then everything came crumbling. And then, like, I was still paying for this building that actually Dane helped me get when he was working at SVN. And I was paying for it. And then I broke lease when they started using the building when they weren't supposed to, and they just vacated. So I was trying to get a subleaser in. And so I was, like, collecting all this debt. And then basically I had to get into the mental headspace of, like, I started going to church a lot more. I started working out on myself, and I started just isolating myself from everybody. And I said, okay, why are we doing this? And I thought about my mom. I thought about the situation. And I'm like, we're going to get out of this. And I just, day by day, it took me, that's why I have this red book next to me, because since that day, I actually have one from every single year. And it took me tracking one goal at a time every single day. And I went from 1 goal to 2 goals to 3 goals to creating habits, to creating my most valuable priorities for the next day, having my personal goals, tracking my schedule, and having my habits. And it was step by step by step. And then you caught me on the back end when I was ready, because I was mentally ready and financially ready, like, to get out. And it took me 3 to 4 years. And like, one crazy thing is, right before I bought this property, still in debt a decent amount, had a bunch of stuff in my house to sell. And so I would work my full-time job from 7 to 6 p.m. I would go to rugby practice and coach 6 to 8:30. I would go home, eat, and I would do DoorDash, or I would go and work for other people's businesses and make money. And in that time, all the debt went away, wiped out. And then I saved up money just like that, because I continued to work. I did it for 5 months straight. My mom thought I was selling drugs. That's how fast. I'm not even joking. On my last birthday in June, she came up to me. She's like, how did you pay off all that debt? It didn't make sense. And I'm like, Mom, I was so determined that I wasn't. And then the pivoting point for me was actually, so we were chatting, but then I heard your episode on Deal Junkies. So it was Deal Junkies and it was Vesta combined, but I heard your episode, and I remember I was driving up to go to LA. I was driving up to the airport, and I was listening to the episode, and then there's this like all combining moment in my head. I was like, oh my God, like, I can do this. I'm going to do it this way. And so my whole goal was like, I was driving, and I was like, now I had a plan for my parents. I was like, okay, I'm going to buy a duplex. I'm going to live in one side. I'm going to rent 2 of the rooms. I'm going to rent out the whole other side. And you know what? Like, I'm going to stay in Corvallis for this many years. I'm going to coach. I'm still going to get my stipend check from them. I'm going to get my regular check from nuclear engineering. I'm still going to work here and there if I need to. And I'm just going to pay everything off. I'm going to have this property cash flow over time. I'm going to buy another property, and I'm going to buy another property for my students, because at the time, one of my students' parents was, and he was an international student, he was like, we're not going to send him to Oregon State if you don't have housing for him. And I was like, okay. No, and I had to solve this other problem. So I bought the house right next to my house.
Just to get the player.
Just to get the player. I bought a triplex right next to my house, and it's so awesome.
It's got to be illegal.
No, it's college recruiting, dude.
It's college recruiting, and also we're a club team, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But yeah, just for students, and everything off of that one podcast, it all connected, and it was weird. It was like I was praying about all these things, and then all in one go, it was like I just got bestowed all this knowledge, and it all connected in one form. And I remember I was actually tearing up in the car, and I was like, I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to get out of all my problems, and I'm going to solve bigger problems. And I went on the plane, went home, told my mom. She was like, I don't know about the second property, but the first one, yeah, that sounds good. My dad said the same exact thing. And I bought the first one, and then I kept on saying I'm going to buy the second one, and the second one actually came on the market, and every single day I'm like, I'm going to buy that house. I saw them doing the HVAC on it. I saw them put a new roof on, and then I was talking to the tenants, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're going to sell. And then one day, the owner of the property that sold me my house was sitting in my driveway. I'm like, who's in my driveway right now? I'm trying to pull in, And it was the owner that sold me my first house. I went and I talked to him. He was like, the house is going on the market tomorrow. And I was like, you can just sell it to me right now. And he was like, no, I'm going to wait for the first offer. And I was the first offer in the morning. And then we started going through the process almost immediately.
Are you talking about the triplex?
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
This is terrible.
This is such
actually.
a good episode.
This is
all jacked up
this
right now.
is so bad. What month was it that you bought that?
I officially closed on it in August
of last year.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was a process. It was a whole process because of the loan, and like actually my partner is because of Trevor also. Trevor's been plugging me actually. My partner got introduced to me because Trevor was like, Juwan will partner with you at a real estate meetup. And I was like,
that's
sure.
so funny.
And so I talked to him, looked at his finances, and then saw how he was a determined young individual that had so much money at being 19 years old and just worked his tail off every single day. And I was like, you know what? I need more people like you around me.
Who was that?
It's Noah. He sells cars with Gabe.
Okay.
And now, instead of owning that lot, Noah is now the owner of that lot, no longer Gabe. And Noah has his own business, and he's doing really well. And he's frugal, and his hustle's there. And now we own that property together, and him and his family live in one of the units on the far side.
This is actually so bad. So, do you know what happened with the triplex? Because Juwan called me to like talk about the project because you had talked to the owner about it.
And you said, I can't talk to you about this. There's conflicting information.
No, I did talk to you about it because I didn't realize that it was the same one. And then I realized after the fact, and I was like, hey, by the way, I can't tell you anything anymore because I realized we were the only other person offering on the property. It was like a friend of mine who had called me about it, and I had just given them both advice on how to compete with each other, and I didn't realize that they were like competing with each. I thought it was I was like, that's so weird. I was talking to somebody about a triplex in Corvallis like yesterday.
And then you're like, ah, shit.
I was like, this is probably what I would do, and then I like finished it, and then I was like, that was probably the same triplex. Yeah, that was probably the same. No, I felt so stupid.
I think the one that you got me on was the storage. You were like, I was telling you about the storage complex I was trying to buy, and you're like, And then later on down the line, you're like, actually, we bought that.
Yeah, because I was under.
I was like, dude, I was telling you I was trying to buy it. That was going to be before I ever bought a property.
Yeah. We were under contract on that one, in fairness, at that point. It was just still listed on the market. And so that's why I didn't say anything. So I was like, because you were going to buy that with your dad, weren't you? It was actually a good deal. Well, you guys were lower, but you were conventional. Anyways, yeah.
So how'd you do this first deal? It was like an on-market deal. How'd you finance it? Like, what was the play? Did you have to kick people out?
No, the second one is an interesting one.
We'll go through both.
But the first one, I used the FHA loan. And then I just had to kick out the students that were there. And thankfully, the owner of the property owned I think he owns like 5 or 10 properties in Corvallis. So he just relocated the students into another property. And then basically, after we closed, maybe 2 weeks later, there was nobody in it. It was completely empty. And I inherited the tenants to the left of it. And he wanted them to stay, which makes sense because they're phenomenal tenants. Like I have them there to this day. And yeah, I just moved in. The finances looked like the following. I think it was listed at like maybe 620, 630. I offered like a 580, and then there was somebody else competing. And then we put a clause in, escalation clause, and then we ended up getting it at like 605. And the only reason why it was at 605 actually is because part of the negotiations, when we got the inspection report, we saw that the plumbing was like awful. And I was like, I'm good on this property. I was about to pass. And then we were so close to the end, and he was like the 1031 exchange period. And so he was like, I need you to buy this property. And I was like, I want to buy it, but the plumbing. And he was like, I'll get an inspector to come out and look at it. I'm like, I have an inspection report. So we have a plumber, and the plumber bidded it at $30,000. And so I just went up by a little bit. So I paid like extra $5,000 for $30,000 worth of work on the plumbing. Yeah. And so had all brand new plumbing, and then I did everything else on myself.
Yeah. How was that turning all the units or turning the unit?
It was a process because this was January 7th I bought this property. I tore my MCL snowboarding on the first of the year, so that was rough. And then I was going to India for 2.5 weeks, 3 days after I purchased the property. So it was a little mixed bag there, but I cleaned up the whole property, I ripped out all the carpet before I left, even with my bad knee, went to India, came back, and I was exhausted. And the day I got back from India, I just started working on the property, ripped out all the carpets, started taking off all the baseboards, the whole nine, took out all of the appliances that were in there, found out a bunch of the appliances didn't even work anyway, and just went through it slowly. I had a month turnaround time in my head, and we did it in like a month and a half. Painted it all myself. Gabe Fitzpatrick helped me out with that, thankfully, and helped me patch the walls. And then one of our buddies, Tony helped me with some of the flooring there, and we just did it over time. And it was actually pretty simple. It looks so much nicer now, and it took work, but I think the sweat equity was nice for your first property because it's your home. And it's like your first home and it's your first attempt, and it shows you and you told me to do it, it shows you what you should do on a property versus what you should outsource to somebody else. And you will never know that, just like why I manage my properties now. You will never know some of these things unless you do it yourself. And like action is the highest form of intelligence. I learned that from you guys here. And I think that's awesome because in so many ways, property management, acquisitions, and even flipping, turning a property, you have to physically do it to understand the ins and outs and what you are willing to do for the property. Like I found out, like one of my buddies, he's really good at putting in flooring. He enjoys it. Found out one of my other buddies doesn't like to paint. I don't like to paint either. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's pretty simple. We had a paint gun and we sprayed the whole thing. I tarped it up myself. And I just, like I said, I have this red book here. I had a plan every single day of something to do. And we just did it. And day by day, more and more things got done. And then I got a tenant in maybe 2 months later. So, and then I got my first tenant in. He stayed for the summer. And then I had 2 tenants already signed up to live in my unit with me. And one was a graduate student and the other one was just a mechanical and computer science student. And they're cool, they're quiet, they stick to themselves, and it's a nice, clean home. And yeah, worked out.
Those are roommates, right? Yeah.
So you're a real deal junkie now, though. Like you're talking with deals all the time with us on stuff you're looking at, trying to do them in crazy ways. So like that first one really got you hooked, right? Because you were immediately, because your goal was 3 in a year or 3 in some period, right?
3 every year for the next 3 to 4 years. And I got 2 last year, which was my first year buying property. So it wasn't bad, but this year it's going to still be 3. And yes, I got the bug. You have to overcome the fear. Face everything and run, or fear, you run the opposite way. Like you can run or you can rise in all of this. And also listening to the podcast, going to meetups, like there's so many people that are so electric in the real estate world, and people don't understand that. Like once you're in it, it just feels so good. Like obviously all the property management isn't the most fun. I would say that 100%. Like that's not the most fun thing ever, and you can outsource that 100%. I enjoy it because it's my students, and I'm now building systems with AI to help me with some of those problems. And now I have contractors and you have the contacts. So until you have those, it's kind of difficult. But you have to overcome that block in your head. Like it's just like me and Dane right before we got on air, he was talking about him preparing to run a marathon. Like you have to take the actions to get there. And for you, when we were talking back and forth, I was like, yeah, I want to buy a deal, but I don't know, or I don't, and you were like, define your buy box. You were like, how much money can you put down? Get pre-approved, go through all the steps, and then start analyzing. And I use your deal analysis from Vesta. And Vesta, I'm sad it's not available because it was a blessing. And I still use James as my broker to this day for my mortgage, and I still use Sabrina, and she's phenomenal. And I still use you guys' ecosystem, and I share that information with other people. And I was laughing with Avery out there because I was like, now I became Trevor. Trevor was always like, buy real estate, buy real estate, buy. And now I go to talk to people. I'm like, buy real estate.
Dude, when my cousin, he's 19, he just bought a property in Corvallis too.
Yeah.
Because he just saw what we were doing. He's like, that's sick. I want to do that. Changed his major to construction. But I was like, you got to call Juwan.
Yeah.
Like, go to all the meetups Juwan's going to. Go hang out with Juwan. He'll set you up.
Yeah,
Have you met him?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He comes to all the Corvallis meetups with me.
Yeah.
And at first he would only go to the Oregon State ones because they have the Oregon State little investors. And now like I ping him, I'm like, meet up, and I send him like the screenshot, and he comes and he brings people, and I bring people, and we're making that Corvallis area a little bit better for meetups, which is awesome.
That's
Ryan
fun.
Long is doing a great job down there.
Yeah.
And now with Nate, you guys know Nate, I'm gonna down in Eugene, I might, when I move down there, do a meetup down there or help start something, because just people need to get involved. I think that's the only way. You're never like how I met Noah. I met him at I drove him technically to the meetup, but I know nothing about Noah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Noah was just quiet, and he didn't know who to ask, and he was a little timid on those things. And then I'm like, go talk to Trevor, go talk to Dan. And I introduced him, and then he started talking to you, and then he was like, Juwan will partner with you. Like, nobody will ever know that. Nobody will ever hear those stories and have the motivation to go into his first deal. Like, he was so hesitant to go in that deal with me because he was like, the finances don't make sense. And I'm like, does it? Like, it's supposed to cash flow $2,500 a month once we stabilize it. He was like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all the things that need to get done. But people don't know what they need to flip. People just don't have the knowledge, and they're not willing to go and get it. Like, this is a sad thing. A lot of people are not disciplined, and it's like a poor me mentality across the board, and they just don't want to go out and get it. You can get anything you put your mind to. You need to set the goals. You can work with people and get the finances to go and get something situated. It's just putting a puzzle together, but it's understanding the pieces of the puzzle and understanding the sequence of events and absorbing all the knowledge, reading the books, listening to the podcasts, going and meeting the people that are doing it. And that is where the big change gets made.
To that point, and I love that, because I mean, specific to the meetups, like over time, the meetups, like you kind of start going to them because you just like want to see friends more than anything. Like it's not, the reason you go changes. But on the front end, like you got to go to meetups because you don't even know how easy it is to do your first deal. Like if your goal is to just buy a 1 to 4 unit and you go to a meetup and you're just in the ecosystem, you're going to have Trevor or me or Mike be like, oh yeah, I know a guy who owns this thing. He would structure it like this. It's perfect for you. Cause like that's our job all day long. And then the moment that you're like, well, this is like what I'm kind of looking for. And it's like just immediately somebody at that meetup is going to be able to be like, oh yeah, here it is. Like that's the thing. Cause there's like for every 50 unit deal, there's 500 fourplexes or like 1 to 4 unit deals. It's like there's so many more. So the moment that you're like, I want to buy a duplex, here's where I want it to be. Here's like, I would live in it. I would do 5% down. And most of the time it's like you have one problem and it's not hard to overcome, but you've never overcome it. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what the thing, like the simple fix is. And so it's like, oh yeah, I know a guy. He would just go do it with him.
Yeah, you're speaking it into your world will change when you start telling the world what you want.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And also envision it, like actually go through those steps and see it everywhere. Like I told Trevor gave me 3 things. He was like, you need to partner with somebody, you need to buy your first deal, and you do a seller carry or syndication. And I knocked out the first 2. And I was like, Now like this second one, I kept on saying, I want to seller carry something, like I got to.
Yeah.
Like, and I had one that I actually almost closed on in Portland. Funny enough, didn't even have the money. I was trying to figure it out as we were going through. I was under contract, trying to put the pieces together. And it didn't end up going through just because I found out the foundation was awful. And the plumbing was also terrifying. And there's some other easement issues. But then now some of the deals that are coming up to me are seller carry, or they're willing to seller carry a little bit, and you're starting to understand those things. But if you don't speak it into existence, you don't say, I want to get 3 units, like 3 separate properties, you're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. You have to start with, I'm going to get 1, and these are the steps I'm going to take to do it. Read a book, understand your finances, understand who can help you through the process, and go to your first meetup. Listen to a podcast like this, phenomenal. And there's other podcasts out there too, and just absorb that knowledge as much as you can.
Yeah. You gotta talk your vision into vision.
Gets me so fired up. This part's so fun, honestly. Like,
this is sick. Sorry, my voice is gone.
This is so cool. I love what you're doing.
So this is sick because like those are like the coolest points we can all remember of like going back to the time period you were at too. Of like, oh dude, I remember when we were doing that same exact thing, and like you did it. Like we had the conversations with you and you took all the action. Yeah. And it's just sick to see someone else do it and like relate, because you're talking about all these things. I'm like, oh, I remember when I was turning my first unit.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, that's why that Instagram reel did so well though, when we were walking a duplex with you, because it's like so simple, but it's like here, the start of the reel is Juwan wanted to buy a property for 3 years. He really wanted to buy a property for like a year and a half. He was in a position to buy a property for like 3 months before you actually closed on a property. I mean, like that's the timeline. And so just like, but you have to start with the like, I want to buy a property. And then it just takes whatever amount of time it takes. Like some people, they're just already ready because they should have bought one earlier and they just didn't realize they should have until too late. But like to that point, everybody can relate to like, oh, okay, like these are the steps to like, here's deal number 1. Like this is how I get into deal number 1. And that's like that. Oh my goodness.
The
I was
first
so
deal is the
stoked
hardest
to be
too.
at that deal.
First deal is the hardest.
100%.
I think it takes somebody to push you. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because that person was Trevor for me throughout the whole process. And you never knew, like, and I call you a mentor in a sense because you've always helped me. And you kept on pushing me to do it. Even when my dad said no. And my dad has owned real estate his whole life. And I was like unsure. And I like, even before I was under contract and I was like, Dad, you want me? He was in Corvallis watching one of my rugby games. And I'm like, you want to walk the property with me? And he was like, no. And I was like, he was like, it doesn't look good. These are the issues. And I'm like, Dad, I'm going to buy this property if you like it or not. But you were motivating me the whole time. And I saw what you did. And I saw how many people you helped. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And like, and then you guys both like cooking and doing all these deals. And I was like, you know what? I can do more. I just need to put my mind to it. And I think a lot of people out there, there's a lot of doubters. And a lot of your family is going to doubt you. A lot of your friends are going to tell you not to do these things. But you need to obviously look at your finances, make sure it makes sense. But it's possible for anybody. And I think that is one thing people don't understand. They're locked in this box that society gives them. I need to put 10% down always. I need to put 20% down. I need to have this situated. One thing is, like, finances are tough right now. You can go in and go co-living across the board. You can get a single family and co-live like you did it. And it's called a house hack, but you can do it across the... I'm like working my focus in real estate right now. Like, I want to accumulate more properties, but I want to go in the co-living space a little bit more. I like what they're doing in Pat Split in Portland a little bit, but I do that on a different realm because I actually give them leases, different characteristics there. But there's ways to go about it. And I think you can ask a family member. You can ask friends. There's people out there that are willing to help you. You just need to go and ask. In the end, that's the key.
Action. Yeah.
So how'd you get into the second deal then?
Yeah, so the second deal, I was just looking at it. I saw that work was getting done. There was no listing, and I just started talking to the tenants. I was like, do you think this is being for sale? They're like, they're doing a lot of work inside. I think they're prepping it for something. And they were just crew members on site all day, every day. They put a brand new roof on. They put new HVAC. They were fixing some of the electricity. And I saw it happening every single day. And I kept on saying, like I told my buddy Gabe, I was like, I'm going to buy this property. And he was like, what? You just bought this one? Like, how are you going to do that? I'm like, I'm going to buy this property. I don't know how yet. I'm going to buy it. And I saw the work get done. The tenants were like, yes, he's actually going to sell. I told you the story about the landlord being in my driveway. He said he was going to list it. And I put an offer. I didn't have any partner for the offer yet because I didn't know how to do that. And so I put the offer in. They accepted the offer. And then basically I got Noah. I'm like, Noah, I know you want to be on your first deal. Do you have this much money? And do you want to be the co-borrower? So I know you don't have on paper finances because you're a 1099 employee and you're going to convert your W-2 coming here soon. I can be your borrower technically, and we can go on this deal together. And so I co-borrowed, and James actually was like, don't do this. You don't know this kid. And I'm like, I don't. You're 100% right. No, 100%. No, because he was, and you know what? James is awesome. He always gives me phenomenal advice. So this is nothing against James. I really wanted the deal, and I liked the avatar of the person I was going to business with. And I'm like, your finances are good. You work hard as a person. I looked at all of his backdoor finances, everything he was doing. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. We're going to go into partnership together. You don't know anything about real estate, but this is how you're going to learn by doing it. You're not going to have any hands on this deal, though. So, like, I'm going to be the operator here just so I know that it will succeed because I back myself always. The buck stops with me. And I told him, I'm like, if it fails, it's going to be on me, but I'm going to work my tail off. I'm going to show you the finances all across the board. I made the partnership agreement. You helped me with the operating agreement. I got that situated. I went to a lawyer, got that situated, and I brought it to him, got it situated. He gave me the money. And then we went forward, and there was some sticky stuff with actually closing on the deal because co-borrowing isn't the easiest, especially when you co-borrow with somebody that's in the car business. They don't trust those people at all because they deal in cash. So that made things a little bit more aggressive, and that kind of hurt my credit a lot. And that's why this next deal is a little bit difficult because of that co-borrow. But
did it took up like your lending limit personally, kind of thing?
oh yes,
Okay.
oh, yes. I can go into that later, but it's
Like debt to income ratio.
that's income ratio. I didn't know that like they'll give you all the debt, but they'll only give you 50% of the income. And then like I think it's 0.75. I just learned this
Of
yesterday.
rents, yeah. If you guys put it in an LLC,
It's in an LLC,
Oh, it is?
but it has to be
A year.
for 1 full year.
Yeah, of payments. Then they won't count the debt against you at that
Yeah,
point.
but there's a
Try and
sticking
buy a
point
property before then.
Yeah. So that's the sticking point. I'm trying to buy a property before then, and you know what? Like to force action on myself, I was like, I'm gonna burn the boat. So I leased up all my units, so I don't have a place to live.
Homeless. I'm gonna homeless my way to another purchase.
Sick move.
Love that idea.
Well, so it was like I have the finances, and I'm like,
Got a car you can sleep in, right?
I have a car and a truck. I bought
There you go.
I bought a Tundra.
Let's go.
Let's go. But I was like, see, if I keep on saying I'm going to go buy a deal, especially owner-occupied deal, I'm just going to keep on pushing that. And even though I bought my first 2 deals, like it's this mental block you have to get through until you get all of that knowledge behind you, all that backing. Like I have a lot of self-confidence, but it's difficult. It's not the easiest thing. It's easy to get your first. But now assessing that situation, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something very extreme. And I told my mom that, and she spit her coffee out while I was talking to her on the phone.
We almost did too.
Yeah.
So funny.
And so I leased up every single one of my units. They're fully leased until 2027. And so now I don't have a place to live, and I've already started packing. I've had this mental space. I'm like, I'm leaving. I don't care where I'm going. And this is kind of like when I bought my first property, it was kind of a similar situation. It was like, I'm packing my bags. I'm going somewhere. Now, Juwan, it's your time to drive. You got to figure it out. So burn the boats, figure it out. But yeah, I rented everything up, and now I'm looking for my next property. But with the debt to income, I didn't know how it settled. So I bought the property in August, and I need to be out of my house by August. And so there's some ways that I'm working to get that all settled.
So what are you trying to buy now then?
So I was looking for a 4-plex, but they are too overpriced in the area I was looking at. So I'm looking at this beautiful duplex in Springfield, and then I'm also looking at, and this is a seller carry play potentially, but like it's a 5-bed, 2-bath, and then there's an ADU attached in Eugene.
Why don't you just call up your seller and just say, what else? What are you going to sell me next?
That's a really good idea.
It's a fantastic
So
idea.
yeah, so one thing is I don't want to live. So I started getting addicted to real estate, right? And then like I coach right now, and I'm not coaching anymore after this season. And there's a variety of reasons. I want a lifestyle change, some other things. As Dane says, I'm one of the most busiest people he knows. I want to put that energy into something else. And one thing that Dane did last year, which I thought about, or was it 2 years ago? Dane was playing rugby with me over the summer. But he got so busy doing real estate, he couldn't play rugby anymore. And I was coaching, and I was taking all these calls before practices, and I was taking calls after practices, and I was just working. And I was like, you know what? Like, it's time to make the change, and this is a forced change. This is not a circumstance isn't going to dictate this change in my life. I'm going to make a significant change, and I'm going to be better from it. And so I started running to think about it. So that's how I started. That's why I ran my first half marathon.
Love that.
2 weeks ago, and did really well. And then basically I was like, I'm going to focus on real estate and engineering, and I'm going to meet people, because I wasn't able to do some of the meetups. Like I got invited to go to these dinners and other things and talk to people and invest, and I couldn't do any of it. And then also like some of the students that commit wasn't there. And I was like, I love this organization, but I was like, I can't just focus on this. I got to think about what's coming next. And I can impact these students on another way if I keep on buying property. And I give them the same rents for 3 years. I don't even take a benefit as a owner of the property. Like I cash flow on the properties, yes. I could get more out of the properties, yes. But it's giving back to the program that gave me so much. Like I've been in Corvallis for 11, almost 12 years now because of Oregon State Rugby, basically. And I decided to stay in Corvallis for Oregon State Rugby, but I'm like, this is the time for me to change and reach a higher echelon on my own choice. And I think I'm going to do phenomenal things coming forward. I'm excited about real estate. I'm excited about nuclear engineering, excited about building some nuclear plants. And I think I just need to make this shift in my life and transition, and that's what I'm going to do. So Eugene was a transition because And I did reach out to him. And I also reached out to some of my old landlords when I lived in Corvallis, and they have nothing for sale at the moment. And plus, they don't want to carry either, which I was like, come on, I bought 2 properties from you. But I was thinking about other marketplaces and where I wanted to live. So I was on the fence between Portland and Eugene. And I have some of my best friends that live in Eugene. So I was like, Eugene is a good choice. I have friends that live in Portland. But I was like, I still want to go into the office because I'm an in-person type of dude. I have I mentor students at Oregon State in the nuclear engineering department. I'm still going to mentor some of my rugby players, even though I'm not coaching them. And so I was like, Eugene is the play. It's a bigger space. There's Springfield right next door, and it's like one big city altogether. There's more property. There's more things for me to do in my personal life, and I have more connections down there because my buddy is in the commercial space that lives down there, so he can assist me. And plus, he's just being around friends like that can impact your life in such a significant way. So I was like, let me make this transition, and I'm going to work with students down there too, in co-living, and then I'm just gonna buy my little duplex and then get out of it. And I'm still actually working on a play in Corvallis or Albany, depending. But it's gonna be a partnership with one of my engineering buddies who I used to live with, who I told to buy real estate 5 times over, and he has more than enough money, but he's just delayed. But now he said finally yes, and so we're gonna get him in either Albany or Corvallis. And
you should still call your seller and say, what are you going to sell me next?
I did.
Okay.
And he was like, I have nothing to sell you at the moment. So I was like, okay.
Call him again.
He'll sell
Times
next.
changed.
Actually, he'll probably sell, was it last year? Or
When
was
I
it
asked him?
26? Yeah.
I asked him 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah. I would ask him in 20. I bet he's
Yeah.
one of those guys that's doing one a year. And
Quarterly.
1031 and one a year.
Touch base with him quarterly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yep.
Yeah, because you can do more deals on your partnerships, and then you're learning all these other structures too that you can do. And now you're gathering pieces that you can use for your future ones too. So like you have a lot of options.
And call Gabriel and see if he's got a seller carry for you in Eugene.
Hamill?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give him his number.
That's
later.
that crossed my mind.
You,
too.
you would love Gabe Hamill, dude.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, I've
very
listened to him.
similar
you guys
energy
have
to you.
the same. Yeah.
He's another Jack dude, and he just energy through the roof.
He holds the
should meet
Guinness
him
World Record for diamond push-ups.
in a minute or something.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
He's the coolest person I know.
Yeah, you got to meet that dude.
He's also he has a biomechanical advantage for diamond push-ups.
He's Dane's size.
Yeah. We're built the same.
He's also been powerlifting since he was like 12.
Oh, I'm totally kidding. Yeah, that dude is extremely disciplined.
Yeah.
I
Oh
love
yeah,
that guy.
connect me with Gabe.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
look forward to
Love it.
connecting you too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to down there. I'm trying to make that scene a little bit. So it's such a big marketplace. I hear so much on because my buddy that lives down there owns hotels. His family owns and operates hotels. So I hear about like all of the commerce that's coming in there, all the changes that are happening at university because of Trackdown USA, because of the football team. And so I'm like, it's a good environment to start my next investment. I'm still going to invest in Corvallis, but I'm thinking about bigger marketplaces because I don't want to get hindered on the amount of deals. And I'm going to grow out of that, and I know that. So I can still buy deals in Corvallis, Albany, Philomath, that area, and then now I have a whole new cup of area that's within 45 minutes, and I still go to Corvallis. So it makes sense. Makes sense for the next evolution, I think.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you think you're going to form partnerships for these future ones too, and like keep doing that way? Because I mean, you can essentially do an unlimited amount of those.
I think that's the only way I can do it is partnership.
No, that's not the only way. But.
Well, it's not the only way, but
Best path.
I like people, and I want to be, at least for I want to learn to operate better. I don't know if I'm going to be an operator, but I like what I'm doing and how I'm operating. And like one of my students is actually my property management for all my properties. So he does all the lawns, he does all the quick fixes, and he needed a job anyway. So he gets taken care of, I get taken care of, and I'm going to keep that for the future. And I see myself getting in other partnerships, specifically with people I work with, family, friends, if they're interested in, because now people are seeing my addiction to it. Like at work, when I lift with my like VPs of engineering and like chief engineers, and I got one of these dudes addicted to real estate. So he used to buy real estate back in the day in 2008 and everything else. The crash happened. He bought a few properties here and there, and his wife has a few properties, and we'll lift. And then he was like, Juwan, I was talking about all the deals I was doing. He was like, Juwan, I just bought 2 duplexes because of you. And I'm like, what? And then he was like, yeah, I just bought also this other property, and we're going to develop on it in South Corvallis. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I'm kind of addicted now. And I was like, everybody's like, shut up. We're trying to get a lift in. And I was like, I'm trying to talk about deals and get a lift in.
Yeah, you can do all at the same time.
That's awesome.
In fact, you probably lift harder talking about the deals.
Yeah, I get excited. So yeah, there's gonna be partnerships for the most part in the foreseeable future, and I want to overcome that and get a seller carry if I can, if the finances make sense, and just talk to more people. I even had a buddy in Portland who's like, do syndications. I'm like, nope, not there yet. I want to get a seller care under my belt and then talk to people. But I do have like a list of some investors that like want to invest with me, people I've talked to over time that like what people have been asking me questions. They're like, how did you do it? Even the guy across the street from my house, he was like, you own these 2 properties? I'm like, yeah. He was like, how? And like, I legitimately sat there and talked to him. All my rugby students, I legitimately tell them word for word what I do. I brought 4 of them to a meetup. I bring some of them to the Corvallis meetup. I want everybody to be successful in their own regime if they want to take those steps. I can lead you there.
Can't make them drink.
Exactly, but I'll take them there. And if I keep on doing the action, like people, even when me doing that half marathon, like so many people text me like, how did you do it? Because I'm not built like somebody doing a half marathon.
You built like a runner.
No, he's not. It's like telling me I'm built like a runner.
Dude, Juwan, Juwan was like the fastest sprinter pre-ACL.
I could see him going
Sprinting
pretty
is
short,
not
pretty
marathon.
fast.
Yeah. Oh, no. I know. I'm kidding.
Field speed's so different.
Yeah.
I did
I'm
it
kidding.
8-minute pace per mile. Which
That's
I was-
fast.
That's
Dude.
for my
Yeah.
size. Like people,
No, it's ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
exactly. Like at one point during the race, I looked at the stats. I was like 55 out of like 4,000 racers, which is crazy. For
Oh, what race was it?
the Shamrock.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was uphill at one point, like the middle
Yeah.
portion at
Yeah.
the mile
There's a
7. It's
brutal hill.
all uphill.
Yeah.
So
That's so funny.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right.
Did you want to talk about crypto or any of that stuff?
Well, I would get fired up on NewScale, but I mean, you
you talk
could.
about crypto, AI, new scale.
I want to hear what you're using AI for.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we talked about this on Instagram a little bit, but I'm using 2 different. I'm using Claude. I use ChatGPT. I use Perplexity, but now I'm using OpenClaw, and I'm building my own AI. So on Sunday, I was with one of my nuclear engineering buddies in my office, and we spent 7 hours training in AI. And I can text it on my phone. I named it Jasper, and it built me a website. Because for my property management, I want to like organize everything. It built me a website, it built me my acquisition pipeline so I can see it visually now. It's helping me track all my tasks. It's helping me with my health. And it's just sending me affirmations in the morning, which is good. And I'm just training it. And I'm just like pouring my whole brain into it. And the more detailed your responses are, it gives you more detailed questions, and then it knows you more. So then based off of one of your responses, it'll turn over 3 times faster. So I have my Claude, and then I have my OpenClaw. And the reason why I chose OpenClaw is now I can teach it all my finances, and it's not connected. Like it's off network.
You did it on like a Mac Mini?
Well, I didn't do it on the Mac Mini. So we're VPNing into a specific protocol, but basically I just used a shitty computer I had.
Yeah, just old one, so it didn't get
and
access.
it's operating 24/7, and I connected to Telegram, and it could only communicate with me, so nobody else can get in. And I do the updates, and I now every night for about an hour and a half, I train this AI. And like this year, I'm trying to qualify as a real estate professional because I do a lot of real estate and get the tax benefits of doing so. So right now, it's helping me backlog all of my hours, do anytime I'm traveling, log it, log my expenses, log everything across the board. And now it's going to control my property management system in the future. So it's going to email all my tenants for me. It's going to give all the reminders up front. And then I'm going to connect it to a separate email. And anytime I want to do any emailing whatsoever, it's going to basically draft me emails, and then I'm going to send them out after I review them. It's currently already doing some of my deals for me. So now I can text it. So I just have it on my phone, Telegram. I text it, like, use the house hacking analysis from Vesta to analyze this deal. And also, while you're doing this, go on these different applications and pull data. So, and give me the pros, cons, and what's broken with the property, and where is your competitive advantage, where mine is focused on co-living and multifamily entirety. So it breaks it all down for me and then spits me out results. And then it'll also give me a rough estimate of a price that I should propose. And then, so basically, I was in Eugene a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, and I viewed 9 properties. And I threw everything into ChatGPT, and I redid it once I had my own bot situated, and it's 3 times faster and it's more accurate. So I'm excited. I'm excited just because this is the beginning, and it can do so many different things, and it's isolated, so they don't save it on their networks. So all that personal information can't get saved. So it's going to run all my financials in the future, and it's going to help me pull data faster.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's insane.
We got to get one of those.
OpenClaw?
I was scared to use it, but
Yeah, but Mac Mini, that makes sense. Just
different.
Yeah, so you can do it Mac Mini. You can build a system just like I had with crypto miners back in the day and just have a GPU and build your own desktop system. The key is just to isolate it so you're the only one that can communicate it and make sure it's connected to the internet to a specific extent. And cybersecurity is the biggest aspect with these systems. But the applications are tremendous. And it does break, and there's protocols you need to do. But the coolest thing is it's called a TUI. Your setup on your computer is connected and disconnected from your setup on your phone. So if it breaks on your computer, you can use your phone's application to repair it so it can repair itself in real time. Or you can message it on Telegram and be like, can you repair the TUI protocol and add in like what you're looking to compare? And it will do it. I can say, pull something from the OpenClaw source on the internet and say, apply this application and repair and add these features, and it'll do it. Sometimes it like malfunctions. So I know I was logging hours last night and I was like, wait a minute, that's supposed to be 150 hours, not 120 hours. And I like messaged, I'm like, what happened here? And it was like, oh, you typed too fast, because you can only like type one prompt at a time. But if you overload it, sometimes it stalls because it's still a child. And I think about it as a kid. You're training a kid to be an adult. And then you have to get it to that level, and also you have to upgrade the protocols accordingly. And there's so many different systems you can add, you can tie into it. So yeah, it's endless what you can do with it. And I think people in our space, like, we got to start using it now, because I was listening to a different podcast, and I think like 85% of people don't use AI.
Yeah, at all.
Crazy.
Because when I go talk to my friends, I'm like trying to learn what I can use AI for. I'm like, what AIs do you guys use? Like, what do you use it for at work? And like, oh, we don't. I was like, what? I was like, tell me about your job. And they're telling me, I'm like, you don't need to do any of that. This can do all of it.
Yeah.
We just got AI access for nuclear, and it's nuclear is very slow to progress in these ways.
Yeah.
But so it's on specific things. So we use Copilot because we have Microsoft and we have an isolated version.
Yeah.
So it can help us transcribe our meetings better. It can help us with finding specific information, which is going to help us save hours across the board, organization, things of that nature. And then
does Copilot have like a business, like an enterprise version that's on your server?
Correct. Correct. It's isolated.
Yeah.
Because for nuclear, you can't have it exposed.
No.
Because it's like
that's why I was. Yeah.
We're
but it makes sense that Microsoft has that.
We're the 7th ever certified nuclear reactor technology in U.S. history,
and the only ever
small modular reactor.
What's a small modular reactor?
A small modular reactor.
This is what gets me more fired up than anything.
So think about a traditional nuclear reactor. You have your regular dome structure. You can produce all this energy, but think about your power density per system. So you get this vast power density, but you have to have all this concrete, all this infrastructure across the board. And then you have all of these passively safe systems, passive safety systems that are just large, expansive, and take a lot of space. Well, now you have these small modular reactors.
How big is a normal nuclear reactor? Like smallest that was ever operating, really?
Like a 10-story building, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive.
They're huge.
They're huge, and they have a huge footprint. Well, imagine reducing that footprint. We're working in a project in Romania right now to deploy our first ever there. And basically, it's awesome. So we use natural circulation, the change in density of the fluid, to drive our passive safety system. So say our nuclear reactor shuts down, well, it can cool on its own, hands off, step away, and it will do its job. I'm actually one of the analysts that work with our passive safety system. I'm a systems analysis engineer. So I work on all of our transient phenomena. Anything that can happen with the reactor, we analyze. Even if a plane comes into the building, we analyze that. Earthquakes, everything. So think about the footprint. We always look at power density. Think about solar panels. You need all this vast space. Wind turbines, you need to take a vast amount of space as well. Well, in a pressurized water material, you can basically have these micro-scaled reactors and produce energy. And the infrastructure is a lot less. The costs are a lot less to build. And so currently we're looking at 1, 6, and 12 modules in a little bay. And the footprint's significantly less.
Is it like the size of a house?
So the actual module itself is the size of a bus and a half.
Oh, shit.
Which is crazy.
So like 20 feet by 40 feet?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it goes about like 55 feet is actually the top of the reactor. 55, yeah, roughly. But the cool thing about it is
why do you know the dimensions of a school bus?
Manufactured houses.
Well, one of the coolest things about this though is, so say if you're in a region that you need less modules, you can still build the infrastructure for all the other modules and just run one. Or you can build a 6-pack depending on your population density or what you expect it to grow to. And so for countries, and even our country in particular, in specific regions, you can build it accordingly. And the transmission you lose a lot of electricity on transmission, what people don't understand. So for example, like the Vogel facilities that were they're pressurized water reactors, the newest gen, they're built in Georgia. They're transmissioning all across Georgia into some of the other states, but those transmission lines take a while. Atlanta is the big source of power that's being used there. Well, we can build small modular reactors in all these different locations. In our Romania project, we're trying to build in the middle of the city in Romania, and we have an emergency planning zone that fits it accordingly. And another cool feature is like you have this concrete structure inside this pressure system. Well, we have 2 containing structures that surround itself. So they're self-containing modules filled around water. So one of the modules has water in it, and it's our containment, and the other one is our reactor pressure system. So the containment for a traditional nuclear reactor is this big domed building. We've condensed that tremendously I say it's using 2026 technology for an old school nuclear application.
Dude, it's so sick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think most of the reason that it's like not already approved in the States is just stigma? Like fear that...
And processes. There's a lot of red tape to get, like, nuclear reactor projects are difficult. It's a lot of money. It's billions and billions and billions of dollars. And also, you got to think about it. Like, obviously, people don't want a nuclear reactor in their backyard, and that's the stigma because of Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island. But I think with the new age technology, you should be less fearful of that. Like, I would be more fearful of a mine if it's not appropriately maintained. But I think a lot of it is the red tape. Like, we have all of our certifications, but also getting an investor to commit is like, I remember I was talking to you, we had a project out in Idaho and it fell through. And I actually thought I was going to be out of a job. I was in Brazil. They told me, they're like, 50% of the company got laid off. I was like, ooh, that's rough. And thankfully I came back and I had a job. But it was because that project ended. And I think some projects just need to go to fruition. And this is public knowledge, so I can let you guys know this, but Tennessee Valley Authority, which houses a lot of our nuclear plants on the East Coast, they're working on an agreement with us, and that's in the news and everything else, and we'll see how that goes. I don't work on that project basis, but I think once it's here, it's going to be super impactful.
Dude, I think it's going to...
The adoption process, man. Just got to keep getting through the process.
Probably explode probably isn't the right word to use here. I think that it's going to take off when it actually happens. I mean, because I think people are going to realize, one, like, the technology is not what it was when all of that happened. And then, two, it solves a lot of future problems.
You get enough
that we're about to be running into.
Yeah, you get enough empty data centers that cannot run, that are backed by trillions of dollars, and it'll be solved like that.
Dude, I think this is what I was... So the real reason I was talking to that guy who... He's very knowledgeable in investments was because he was talking about the data centers not being able to be powered. And he was like, why do you think they're putting all of them in the middle of nowhere? He was like, they're putting them all there because they know that it's going to get adopted by the time. Like, they don't know that it's going to get adopted. And he's like...
Come on, you don't build that
like
infrastructure.
I mean, I didn't say that, but I was like trying to get to the bottom of like why. He was like, dude, of course they know. Like, I don't know.
They're already lobbying.
I don't know, but he's like, dude, if they're building like a 5 million square foot data center in a town of 5,000, it's because they know that they're going to get nuclear power plants.
They're building the next stage of nuclear reactors. Like, my master's thesis at Oregon State was to develop a liquid sodium reactor facility,
You told me that, yeah.
So like I built a small scale facility, and we were testing materials for that. And basically, I was downsizing a facility that they're developing at Idaho National Laboratory and designed one for one of the high bays at Oregon State. They didn't build it. They're actually in the process to work with TerraPower, a liquid-cooled sodium fast reactor up in Bellevue, Washington. And so that's another technology that might take off. That one, though, is a little bit more extreme, and that's why people are fearful. Technology like that is scary. The power density is super tiny in comparison to a traditional, but it's very... Liquid sodium is very reactive to air and water.
Yeah, it explodes.
In my facility, the coolest thing about it is if you have a blister, so say like you have a miniature pipe break. It actually, because it fizzles out, and so it actually will seal off some of the. But if you have like a big,
it like heals itself.
yeah, it's kind of interesting because we have a facility that's still operating at Oregon State. There's a glove box facility that I built. I built it from my head. It was crazy. Like, I have all the drawings to this day in my
liquid sodium reactor.
like a little system. Yeah,
Oh no way!
yeah.
A little baby liquid sodium.
It has the
in there?
loop, the whole thing. It has the
way.
thermohydraulic loop, it has the purification loop. And yeah, it's to advance nuclear technology here in the West.
And that's what powers Oregon State.
Yeah. I gotta go, and I want to send
Yeah.
a video introduction to Gabe. I hate to cut this off. This
You
is so
didn't get to talk
fascinating.
about
He had
the-
a 4:15
I'm
cutoff, and he
so
gave you an
mad.
extra.
You didn't get to talk about-
my daughter's gonna hate me.
You didn't get to talk about the double slit
I know. I'm
experiment.
more than mad at you guys to just put this single episode. I'm pissed off.
So, let's
we're gonna
close
have
it
you
out.
back on.
Yeah. You can leave. We'll close it out if
you
you gotta
guys.
go.
I love you so much.
Yeah. So one thing to throw out there, if you guys are listening to this, we're hosting a half Ironman. If you want to come in July to Oregon, to Salem, Oregon, and do this, shoot me a DM on Instagram, Trevor Howard. And we are going to have like 20 to 30 people. So if a lot of people DM me, you can't all come. But I'm only assuming a couple will, and you guys can come. So just shoot me an Instagram message if you want to join us. Dane will be there. We'll all be there hanging out.
Yeah.
Mike will be there too. Right, Mike?
I'm doing it. Mike's doing it.
Maybe not Mike.
Mike's thinking about doing it. He's
But
contemplating doing
that's
it.
all I have.
All right. Oh, he's saving contact right now. Well, Juwan can be reached out to a number of different ways. I don't know. Do you want people reaching out to you talking about real estate?
Sure. Get Trevor connected me with the dude at Oregon State, a college student that I've actually shown a little bit.
Gabriel, this is Juwan. You need to meet Juwan. He's in Eugene. You're gonna
Stop.
seller finance him something, and you guys are gonna love each other. Love you both. Bye.
It's a Gabe Hamlin.
Yeah. If you need to contact me, you can contact me at Instagram. Juwan, Juwaaaan Johnson at Instagram. And that's like the only mode of contact. I'm not going to give you my phone number.
Don't
or
do
my
that.
email.
Yeah.
But contact me there, and I'll help with real estate if I
Reach
can.
out.
Yeah.
Juwan, I'm just happy to have Juwan because Juwan's one of my best good friends. Yeah. And because he buys deals, and I love people that buy deals, but mostly because Juwan and I are really good friends. It was great to have you on. I'm stoked for what you've done already, but I'm way more stoked for all the things that you're going to do. I know you were in a little bit of a rut a couple years ago. It bummed me out because normally you're the one lifting me out of ruts, not the other way around. And so I was like, all right, I got to do something. I got to make this guy happy. But I'm super happy at where you're at now. It makes me stoked because I like it when my friends are doing well. That makes me happy.
Appreciate it, bro.
So, anyways, well, Deal Junkies, thank you for listening. Please share this episode with somebody who needs to buy their first deal. That's the goal of today. Get more people to buy their first deal. We love you, and we'll see you next time.